So kind of this is the more practical part of the workshop. So we talk about understanding the situation or assessing or observing a situation and then determining, okay, is this a safe situation for me to engage, or is this maybe a situation where I shouldn't engage? And when we talk about danger or safety, we have to talk about perception versus reality. Okay. And so when we talk about perception, a lot of that comes from how a person looks, right? If I'm walking on the sidewalk, and I have to pass somebody on the sidewalk, and there's an individual who is, stooped over, they look like maybe they've been using substances, they're talking to themselves, they're muttering to themselves. So it, from our perspective, maybe it looks like there's some mental health issues happening. They look like maybe they haven't had a shower in a couple days, their clothes are dirty, things like that. In terms of perception, we're perceiving that person as being, okay, they're probably experiencing homelessness or rough sleeping. They've been sleeping outside. And so from a perception, right, if we have a negative view of somebody just because they look worse for wear, right, just because they look like they've been through a rough time, we're going to have a perception of, oh, there's danger associated with this person, right? But it's not true that just because somebody is experiencing homelessness that they're dangerous to you, right? You're no more likely to be in a dangerous situation with somebody on the street than you are with just any stranger that you see on the train or in the grocery store or things like that, right? There's no inherent violence associated with homelessness. Okay. So when we talk about, reality versus actual danger, you're passing this person, let's say it's, the middle of the day. So it's broad, it's daylight, there's, lots of people around, and you're, there's a wide sidewalk, right? You don't have to go very close to this individual in order to pass by them. Sometimes in this situation, we can have people who think, well, because of the way this person looks, I'm scared, right? I feel scared. But in reality, right, it's daylight. You can see this person, you can see that they, they're not being aggressive, right? They're just walking. They're actually being pretty, docile, right? They're kind of stooped over. You can see their hands. You can see that there's no weapon involved, et cetera, et cetera. The actual danger of that situation is low, right? There's a, based on what we can see of the situation, the chances of danger are low, right? If there were to be other factors, right? Like if there was some aggression to what this person was doing, maybe we would have a different opinion about danger. But in that situation, we want to make sure that our perception of somebody isn't influencing, whether we think there's danger or not. So just because somebody looks like they haven't, slept in a while, or their clothes are dirty, or it looks like maybe they've been using substances, doesn't mean that there's danger in that situation, right? So it's really important to observe, to kind of take a deep breath and remember, am I feeling kind of scared because this person looks homeless? And so I think that there's, a chance of danger, or am I basing it off on something that's real, something that's observable? And we always want to base things off on what we can actually observe rather than just what we're feeling. In terms of body language, I can't say that, if a person is displaying this body language, then that means this, because it's very, very different in lots of people, right? Sometimes people will make eye contact with you. Sometimes they'll look away because they're anxious or they're scared and they don't want to make eye contact. So we can't base it off on eye contact. If there's mental health or there's substance use involved, it's difficult to know what their body language will be doing. Sometimes they'll be, stooped over. That's very common. If you see somebody who's been using, they might be kind of shuffling, and moving really slowly. But at the same time, substances can also energize people. So again, when we talk about body language, we try to talk about our own body language as opposed to relying on somebody else's body language. So when we're interacting in situations, our body language, we want to have kind of our shoulders back, we want to have our head up, and that's to allow us to kind of look around, to observe the scene. We don't want to, if we look down and kind of hunch over and, try to protect ourselves by pulling our arms in, that maybe feels like something that's a good thing. But actually all we're doing is making it so that we can't see the rest of the situation, right? And we always want to be aware of our surroundings. So when we do body language, we think about kind of shoulders back, head up, so that we can see the situation. And if we're interacting with somebody or we're passing that individual on the street, we want to kind of give them some space, right? Same as we want them to give us space, but and we don't want to walk sort of head on, right? We don't want to look like we're confronting somebody, because that can be very scary for the individual on the street, right? They can feel threatened by that. So we want to kind of go from the side, and we want to shoulders back, head up, and we want to, if we can, make eye contact with that person to maybe smile or say hello. That can be really, really helpful in terms of having a positive interaction as opposed to being scared of that situation.